I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So I invited a guest on here, one of the channel members, and we'll see if she's able to pop on. But we are meeting up today to just go over a whole lot of things, questions and answers. Anybody has any questions? Talk about the latest astral experiences I've had, and one that was really in particular just was so strange, yet at the same time it's really starting to click into place with me about something that's happened, and it's just really bizarre. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope that everybody's getting prepared for Lionsgate portal, because this is going to be probably our most important Lionsgate portal that we've ever had. And we've really got to prepare. So I'm looking on here. I've never done live on my phone here, so I'm not sure exactly what all these buttons are for. So I'm gonna get my computer up here real quick while we're waiting for people to pop in. Okay. Let's see. My daughter took my computer, my laptop, and did something to it. I have no idea what she's done here. So let's see. All right, so I'm gonna open the chat here. All righty. Let's see. All right. Live. Here we go. All right. I don't know why I can't see anything here. Oh, sorry, guys. All right. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a minute or two for everybody to get in. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay, and I'm going to go make me a cup of tea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a minute or two for everybody to get in. Here we go. And I'm going to go make me a cup of tea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a minute or two for everybody to get in. Okay, so I just muted that. All right. Everybody, get in the chat and get your tea and coffee, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. I want to make sure that everybody can get here from all the other time zones. We've got a few people that are meeting up today, so get your hot drinks and meet us back here. Okay, be right back, guys. Excuse me, Ghosty. Come on, watch out, please. Well, I guess she's not gonna move. Come on, Ghost. Hi, Lily. Go get your cup of coffee and meet us back here. I'm getting my coffee right now. I'm just checking in to make sure that people are popping in. So, okay, you got your coffee ready? All right, I'm going to get mine. The machine's out of water, so I had to cook my water in the microwave. All right, I'll be right back. Karen's coming too. All right, watch out, Dutchie. Coming in hot, Ghost. Coming in hot. You better watch out, girl. You get tea poured on you if you're not careful. Okay, you got. Come on, hon. Move out of the way. Come on, watch out, please. Thank you. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. There you go. Oh, okay, the chat comes up on the screen. I wasn't sure how it worked on the phone. How are you doing? You doing tea or coffee this morning? Got tea. So today I wanted to do. Oh, hey, Karen. Hi, Karen. How many names do you got? I can't keep up with all of them. Oh, so do you put cream in your tea? Is it everybody drink it like that with cream in it? Because I do cream in mine. I can't. I'm on my phone right now. I can't look at my texts. Can't look at the text messages. Hold on. Oh, milk. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we do half and half. Half and half. Okay. Hold on. Let me change screens real quick. I'll be right back. Uh, Gotcha. Okay. All right. So here we go. All right. So what the first thing that I wanted to do is go over any types of what astral experiences people have been having lately, and especially in the last couple months, because I've been having some really interesting astral experiences lately, and they really started amping up about the first week of June, and since then I've seen some pretty interesting stuff. So I had this experience the first week of June, which I knew at that point in time that we were having a timeline shift. And it was around the first week of June I had this experience, and I did an interview with Celia Jane Hatch, and she's been kind enough to interview me two different times and let me tell my story. But I shared a story at the end of of the last interview that I did about this blanket. And this was a blanket that my grandmother and my great grandmother had sewn. It was a quilt, because in the South you're poor and you recycle everything. And so my grandmother worked at the sewing factory, and she would get little scraps of material that would be left over, and they'd let her have it. And so she would bring it home, and she'd sew all the pieces together and make quilts out of them. So she had all these different pieces of colors of fabric, and she made a top and a bottom quilted piece, and you have to put them together somehow. So you can either put like a blanket in the middle, or you can quilt it together with multiple layers. It's just whatever you got. So anyway, she had started this blanket and she never finished it. So she had a top piece and a bottom piece. And my dad, after she passed away, my dad, he had went to Alabama, and that was the only thing that he had brought back that belonged to my grandma. So he brought back these quilts that she made, and one of them my son sleeps with on his bed, and he's had it on there for probably 10 years. And it's got holes all in it. I got to fix it, but I have another one that's never been completed. So I had a top and a bottom. So my dad gave it to me like it's been a while back, and it's stayed in wrapped up in the closet the whole time. It's never been slept on. So I brought it home and I got it out today, and I was thinking about how I wanted to put this together. I was going to put it back together, finish it, and gift it back to my father. And so I had it out, and I stretched it out on the floor, and I took pictures of both pieces, and I sit there and I was pondering and pondering. And I got cold. So this was like 8 o'clock in the evening. So I just took and I wrapped one of the halves of the blanket, the top piece, I think it was. I wrapped myself up in it, and I was like, oh, actually, this kind of feels pretty good. It's just the right weight because, when you've been put in these programs and you have really funny things that happen to you revolving your sleeping cycle. And one of the things that's a running theme with my kids as well is that you can't sleep without a blanket. I cannot sleep without a blanket on top of me. And it doesn't matter if it's 900 degrees in Florida. I cannot sleep unless I have a blanket on me, and it has to have a certain weight. And the reason I think is because I've been taking a lot in my sleep, and that's like a security measure for me, is that when I feel that weight come off of me as a child, I would be programming myself to wake up. I've always been a light sleeper, extremely light sleeper. And the other thing that I do in my sleep, and I've done this, I used to do this a lot too, when I had my twins, and when I was younger. I would have conversations like people that take, I think it's called Ambien, where people be driving, people be cooking and buying stuff online. I would be like that. I would literally have another person, another mom that would come and talk to my kids, and I would be asleep the whole time. I would not even be present. My kids got me. I ordered stuff for my son Garrett. He would ask me for stuff. And he was slick too. Garrett knew that I would have conversations that would not be me. It would be it would be a malleable mom that was just stepped in. They would come and wake me up in my sleep, and I would have conversations. My brother used to come and talk to me in my sleep and ask me to do his homework, ask him to wake him up, all kind of stuff. And I'd get up the next day for school, and I wouldn't have no recollection of anything like that. And he'd be so mad at me. I'd literally go wake him up like 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave for school. I'm like, look, we're going to be late for school. You need to get up. And he'd be like, did you do my homework? And I'm like, what are you talking about doing your homework? I never said anything about doing your homework. Yes, you did. I went in your room last night and I asked you if you would do my homework, and you said yes. I would never remember that. So, yeah, I had a lot of situations where I would be present and not remember. And I did that a lot. And especially during the time when I was having a lot of seizures. I started having seizures in, let's see, the kids were born in 2006. Around 2008, we moved to Sarasota, and literally as soon as we got in a vicinity of that Stargate that was down there, and I didn't know it was a Stargate, I started having seizures, and I was losing time like crazy, And I had the social group that I did on Saturday night, and I would drive Tampa. I would literally not remember driving. I would be back at my house. I would leave there after we got done with the event, and I would never remember driving home. And I didn't drink because we were really poor. When we lived in Sarasota, we were poor as fuck, and we had no money. Like I would never have money to eat or anything like that. I mean, it was rough for us. It was rough for us. So I certainly wasn't drinking alcohol. And matter of fact, I didn't even like alcohol. So I would be lucky. It would be lucky if I would just have, one drink the whole night. So, I wasn't drinking intoxicated. It wasn't, that was not the situation. I would just not remember anything. I would wake up in my driveway at like 6 a.m. and not know how I got home, not remember the drive. And this happened repeatedly. I don't know what my husband thought I was doing. He probably thought I was doing, I don't even know. I don't even know. But until he saw me have a seizure, and then it was like, okay, something's going on with you. But I think it was my electrical system. My electrical system wasn't functioning because I was next to that Stargate. So interestingly, I've had quite a bit of these strange experiences lately. Like I had a situation about 5 weeks ago where I went to pick up my daughter, and she gets off at work at 6, and I got there at like 5:30, and then somehow or another, the clock in the car changed, and I couldn't. Can you come in? Did you get the link? There we go. All right. The clock in the car changed, and I couldn't. Can you? Are you there? There we go. Hey, Karen. Hello, everyone. Now this is my Karen is joining us from the UK. Hello, everyone. Where are you at today, Karen? Karen is joining us from the UK. Where are you at today, Karen? Karen is joining us.
Oh
We
my
got
gosh.
a hell of an echo.
Okay, let me
There we
see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Are you on your phone or your laptop?
Okay, so I was on my laptop and then I've turned that off and I've turned
Okay,
on
I
my
was going to
phone.
say, just turn your volume down. All right, good. Now we
Yeah,
don't have an echo.
but I don't want to be
You're on live, dear. You're on live, so too late, dear.
I
Hello.
don't want to be
I'll just
live.
call you Kay. Well, you're on live. You're on live. It's your moment, dear. It's your moment. This is Kay. This is Kay. Hey, you know what? This channel's shadow banned anyway, so it doesn't matter. We're working
Look
with
at
the
the heck
field.
of me. I didn't even get ready today. Oh my god.
You look adorable. What are you saying? Your glasses are so cute.
Oh my goodness. I'm like sitting in bed drinking my tea. I
But
didn't
you
know
know
it was
what?
going to
This
come
is
up.
real life, Karen. This is real life. I'm not getting glamorized to be on here. I'm
You've
a
got your
mom.
makeup on. You look beautiful.
I don't hardly wear any makeup. I have suntan. This is called suntan.
Well, you look beautiful.
Well, thank
So,
you, and you do too. You're
oh,
blushing. I like those glasses. Those are super cute.
thank you. Okay, so does this mean like this is a new thing? I don't know what this is. So people can actually join YouTube Live
Guess
and
so.
talk
I guess so.
like
So
a
this
Zoom kind of thing.
I get. I don't know. I just seen. I said, hey, I'll just send one to you,
Oh
right? Because
wow.
we were talking about doing a Q&A, so I thought, well, why not?
Well, this is better because it's more interactive.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then anybody wants to jump in the chat, we'll all jump in together. I mean, we can do
Right.
this
Well,
kind of stuff every week.
next time I'll put my makeup on.
Okay. Well, don't worry about it. You look great just the way you are.
Thank you so much. Oh God.
So I was talking about astral experiences and stuff that I've been having lately. I've been having some wild astral experiences.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely been a timeline shift that's happened. And, I would have to say that it was around the first week of June that it was really that, it was kind of like we knew it was going to happen in astral. I guess everything happens in astral before it happens here, right?
Mm.
So I had that experience where I had that family reunion that it was like the Randolph family has a reunion every year, but I've never been to it. Some of my family goes to it, like my dad's cousin, they'll go to it. And they were able to get, like, I don't know how they were able to get a copy of this book that it has like all of our genealogy in it all the way back like 1,000 years. And so, I've been lucky that I've been able to get all my ancestry documented because they took the family all the way down to my dad. So my dad's listed in the book, as a descendant, and all of his siblings and cousins and everything. So it's like a super interesting book. She was able to get this book, and I got photocopies of the part that proves my lineage into the founders, and then to the royal family of Scotland or England, and the Celts, the old Gaelic lines. So, since you and I have been talking recently, I've been having like a lot of epiphanies. We've been talking about the Conor McDarry book. We've been revisiting this. Yeah. So I think this would make for an excellent book club because, reading this a second time, I'm just like every single paragraph is like a stunner. It's like every single paragraph you're like, okay, this is important now. This is important now. This is important now. So I really think that we should just go through this book like one chapter at a time. What do you think? Yeah,
I'd love to do that. Yeah, I've just started reading it, and it's a page turner.
it is. And it's so impactful that's like everybody needs to know what's in this book. Really,
Absolutely.
really.
Yeah.
And the thing that I found interesting is like when you read this book, you start to see the connections to Germany and France and Persia and Egypt and all of those things. And one of the things that Mother Earth has said is that the whole history of Germany needed to be taken apart, and it was so important for the future of the world. And so I'm starting to see that this is so much more deeper than just like talking about Hitler and talking about this. We're talking about a group of people that originated from these original Gaelic people, right? And that's why they founded the Celts in Hallstatt, right? They were salt miners, right? So yeah, and then you've got this tie-in with the German people, with the old Gaelic Celtic people. They're from the same line, but you had a branching of the two, and you had one that kind of went this way and one that stayed with the Magian priest kings, right? So you had a separation. And then you had the one group to the right that hooked up with Rome, right? To conquer and conquest and turn the world upside down. So you've got a dualistic Germany, basically. You have a dualistic Germany. And so all of this had to have come out of Germany, because they were the ones that were the mercenaries for the Romans, right? And then they were using those German Vikings. Well, they call them Vikings, but Vikings is just a job, right? It doesn't mean a race of people or a clan of people or anything.
It was the Northmen. I actually was reading that bit last night, and about how they got the Romans to come to Britain to actually try and overthrow the Irish Pope. So that was the whole reason for the Romans coming to England. And I didn't know anything about this. That about the Irish Church in Ireland was like there was a Pope in Ireland, and it was most influential around the world. And so the war that came to
Right. And then let's interject right there, Kay, that it was all around the world, because what we're calling Tartaria was them, right? And all of these places that turned into the nut houses, the universities, and all of those were where the saints, where we talk about the saints, right? Because they turned all of the Magian priest kings' names into saints and took them over and flipped them Catholic, right? And then they moved the nunneries in, and then they moved the priest in, and then they wanted the Indian schools and all of this, right? They came in and took them all. But these big buildings were actually their place of study and their communal residences.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I knew that, and I knew that they had overtaken all of those and turned them into like the psychiatric hospitals, and
Yeah,
declared people mentally ill if they remembered the old way, and then they would be locked away. And so, within a few generations, people weren't allowed. But it was basically wiped out the memory, the ancient history. Of,
right.
yeah, and about how they implanted the Irish, the whole history of Ireland into Egypt, and apparently
Hmm.
magically appeared out of like nowhere.
Yeah. Isn't that so interesting about the stuff about Egypt and how it relates to the Magian priests? That they were the ones that built the Great Pyramid. It was the Celts. It was these very ancient Celtic people, and they settled around the Mediterranean basin. Like when we talked about Atlantis and stuff in the past on the channel, is that they were around this Mediterranean basin. So you have to think back, like when we had the Anunnaki here and we had this upgrade, and Poseidon or Inky or the archetype, right? Hero's journey, humanity, upgraded humanity. Maybe that's what we're talking about here is this Celtic group, right? Because they lived around the Mediterranean and they were the ones they were involved in all the trade and everything had to do with North Africa. And then in America, we had this group of French people and Moorish people, and there was some kind of thing that was going on here, and it goes back to this time. And it's like I've said before, most people would be shocked to know that the founding fathers of the United States, and I'm not talking about George Washington and John Adams, I'm talking about the people that wrote all of the laws, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and everything. They were Celtic family lines, ancient Celtic bloodlines that were with French Norman kings.
So,
That's what it was. It was a feminine Celtic bloodline, Marjorie, Countess of Carrick. She is the matriarch of that line. She comes from the Sinclair family. Yes. See, I think that this is why they turned, when they got over here, they were like, they knew about what was really up with England was a co-partner of Rome. And then we got to read this one part here in the book, like in chapter 1, right? It says, "For let it be known, Rome was at one time a colony of Ireland. The name Rome is a compound of two Irish words, ro, meaning before, and om, meaning body, earth, or grave. But in its mystic meaning, it is made to signify before heaven, which is ro, and earth, Orne, Orne, almost like Orkney Islands, kind of Orne, right? The two together meaning heaven and earth, hence the eternal city of
mm,
Rome.
yeah, I read that.
Right. So was Rome actually another acronym for Jerusalem, right? A state of being that they took with them when they went here, went there, because we know that the Celts were the Phoenicians, right? They were the Phoenicians.
Spelt Fin, not PH. Yeah, it's so interesting. And I thought, like, I love etymology, language stuff, and
Yeah.
that the English actually comes from the Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Indo languages come from the Celtic first.
Yeah. All of them. Yeah. Amazing, huh?
Yeah, so like whenever they were breaking down the word river and things like that, it's like begins with A, the word A, and that's why you have like Stratford upon Avon, because upon the river, Avon, it means like the movement. So there's so many words now that are still
And
in.
there's a lot of overlay in Florida with Celtic places and words. Do you know that I live right by a city called Avon Park? And that Avon Park and the city that's right next to it, Sebring, they were designed around the template of Heliopolis with a circle center for the middle of the town.
Amazing.
Everything is overlaid with Atlantis here. I call it Celt-Iberian. Celt-Iberian. Because it's like encompassing. It looks like Roman, it looks like Greek, it looks like all that because all those people come from them. Right? All of those people come from them. Right. Well, we have to think about it like this. See, people think about race like everything, like the color of your skin has nothing to do with it. I have African genetics. My grandmother had African. I have a grandmother that came from West Africa. She was from the Asani tribe. And she married a Frenchman, and they lived in North America before the Revolutionary War, and they had lots of kids, and there was like no issue. But her last name was Richie, and I thought Lionel Richie,
Yeah.
like the singer Lionel Richie. I wonder if Lionel Richie is related to me.
It doesn't sound African, Richie, but
Well, I know it doesn't sound because it's not. It's like an old English name,
right.
Richie. Yeah, because he was a Richie.
Yeah,
She
so
was I can't remember what her maiden name was. I think it was something like Hearty.
have you done the ancestral and checked out who your ancestors are online? Because imagine you checked out and Lionel Richie was there as one of your, like, you share 2% DNA with Lionel Richie or
No,
something.
I haven't done that. I haven't seen that feature on Ancestry.
Oh, it's on 23andMe.
Oh, okay. Well, I would be like related to most of the presidents, because they all trace back to like William the Conqueror. And then I would be related to Hillary Duff because my grandfather's wasn't. I didn't come from King Robert the Bruce. I came from King Robert the Bruce's mother, first husband, Adam of Kilkondar. I don't know how you say it. You would be able to say it better than me.
Kilconter, is that the one? Oh, hold
Yeah,
on.
that was that you derived to Connor.
Kilconquer or something. Yeah.
Yes, that goes back to Clan McDuff. So I'm related to Hillary Duff because they drop the Mick and they go Duff. So like the McDuff, Hillary Duff, she's
Right.
related to me. And there's some celebrity. I can't remember what his name is. But anyway, they were like told him that he was related to so and so, somebody. It's just for us to get codes. Really, it's all that it is. It's just for us to get codes. It don't mean anything because it doesn't mean any kind of superiority. Because trust me, my family was riddled with incest, poverty, abuse, neglect. You couldn't get any worse. Alcoholism, the whole 9 yards.
Well, to clear all of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we agreed to come here. You might disagree with that, but we agreed to come here and volunteer to do this clearing on behalf of the family line, which is now, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in our lives, which we know has all been weaving this story where we've been these codes, all the places that we've worked, all the people that we've met, has all been weaving this beautiful story coming together at the end. And now we're going, oh, that's why I worked there. Like, I used to work in Rothschilds.
Doesn't that blow your mind when you're like, oh my God, now I understand. Now I understand why I worked at that place, why I had that job when I was 12, that it was all this symbolism, right? It was like giving you downloads at the time, right?
And stuff and energy and stuff that you absolutely clueless, like, just fresh out of uni, as green as you like, in
Mm-hmm.
these like organizations that are world known, and you're thinking, what am I doing here? I hate business, and I knew it wasn't like my heart and soul, but I had to go through all of that to pick up all of these different.
Right. Your activations, right? Right. And, we get activated from like the time that we're really small. And, a lot of people, I don't know what this new buzzword that I hear all the time about walk ins. I
Oh,
don't believe in walk-ins. And let me explain to you why I don't believe in walk-ins. And I don't think that we really should be using that term. Karen has one soul, right? Stacy has one soul. Jane has one soul. Mary has one soul. Okay, it's a big oversoul, right? When we're born here, we can't take all of that, right? It has to come in increments, right? Sometimes when you get a big batch, you'll get a serious major injury and you'll have to go under, you have to have a surgery or something like that. You get a big upgrade then, that's an installation.
really?
Yeah, but like a lot of stuff come as little small initiations, little accent where you get a mark on your eye or you get some appears like an initiation mark. Like I had an accident when I was 3 and I fell on a ballpoint pen and about went poked my eyeball out, but I have a scar right here on my eye, and that was my mark of Heru. That was my second sight that I got at 3. Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so, like injuries, birthmarks, and things that pop up on you, they're all markings. Like a lot of people have a mole, they'll be born with a mole around their mouth. That means that you're here to speak truth, but it depends on what side. I just got a thump from Theo. Just
I have
depends
one,
on the left side. That's your feminine channel. You're
right?
here. Yeah. You're here to speak on behalf of the divine feminine.
But this is my right side. It's just reversed in the image. This is actually my right.
Oh, okay. You tricking me. Okay. Yeah. So it's masculine. So it is solar. Well, we talked about that already, right? That you were
We,
here for solar. That's why you have 2 boys.
I feel like I had to pick up the solar element, or sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So there is like this divine feminine thing too going on with me as well.
That's
So,
because we're marrying the both of them together. And
right?
that's one of the things that I really thought would be a good topic for us to discuss today is like, what are we going to do on Lionsgate Portal? We can
Yes.
all put our minds together and think about something that would be. I took some notes while I was waiting. Like, these are the questions. Like,
It's going to be so powerful this year. I can feel it already.
yes, this is our most important Lionsgate ever, right?
Yeah.
Because last year we were in of our solar father and our mother and our earth mother. This year, it's all about us staying right in the middle and maintaining the balance element of the marriage, right? Because it's been coming into effect, but it's like clicking into place big time right now. So, yeah, I think that an earth offering would be really good, of course. And then if we could think about what would be some ways that we could, that we could bring heaven to earth and earth to heaven, and that we could combine the two with balance. Like this is what we need to think about and ponder on what would be a good earth honoring ceremony and a heaven honoring ceremony that we can do massively with at like 8:08 a.m. and some people could do it at 8:08 p.m. Where did I put that
Yeah.
paper?
We go to a era, and then because of that day, we could it would be like an energy exchange between the land as well.
I think
That might
so. I think it's us. I think it truly is the marriage and the pairing of heaven and earth, bringing heaven to
yeah.
earth. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What
So,
do you
what do
think?
what are your thoughts on it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. Because whenever I got like the massive downloads and during the solar storms in February, or January, I was told to go to a particular mountain on the 1st of February, which was in bulk, which was St. Bridget's
Right.
Day.
Yeah, we were talking about it in bulk too. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I was like bringing earth to heaven and her and heaven to earth, and
Mm-hmm.
so and spring, and it's all about the water as well, and so
Mm-hmm.
I that, and then recently I went to Navan Fort and I got the download there, which was confirmed afterwards when I read one of the signs. that it was between heaven and like the underworld of Earth, and
Uh-huh.
it was so to join to connect the two. And so this theme seems to be reoccurring because I think maybe before the period that happened before Earth, it was like, well, like old monks and stuff would do transcendental ascension, whereas now what we're trying to do is bring that and embody it into Earth. We're not going anywhere, we're staying here, and we're bringing that down into Earth format.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because it's almost like, on the Fibonacci spiral, when you have to visit the underworld, right? Like when Jesus goes for 40 days to hell, right? And it's really interesting that you say that, because I'm trying to find that picture that I printed out. Did you see that picture that I printed out that had like it looked like souls going up? And it was like, I thought it was like it was like a mass exodus from the planet. Where did I put that? I printed it out. I'm trying to find that. Anyway, I put a picture of, it might be up here. No, that's not it. I put a picture of it on the community, but it was like this blue indigo background, and I had seen all these souls going up, and they look like kind of like mushrooms and kind of like jellyfish, and like
Right?
yeah, and they were all going straight up, straight up. And everything was like this color blue. And then there were like lights twinkling around, but it was like a sheer iridescent light like this, but you could see through it. And they were going straight up. And it was just thousands of them. And I was just witnessing this. And this was the other night. This was on the night of the 27th. So
Oh wow, right, right
here
about
it
that
is. Here
time
it is. Here it is, Karen, right here.
right?
Let me put that
Oh
on
yes,
here.
yes.
Boy, I tell you what, you can't keep this to stay on when you're trying to give a lecture, but you try to pull it off, and it about takes the whole wall down. So this is what I seen.
Well, I mean, that's like an amazing picture of like what's known as the rapture, really, isn't it?
Well, this is what
Yeah.
I seen on the 27th. I was like, what in the world is that? Where are they
Sorry, did you
going?
see that in the astral on the 27th?
Well, I don't know if these were souls that were coming in, if these were souls that were leaving, or if maybe these are higher evolved souls that are their expression is coming in our field, or that we're merging 3 and 4. I'm not sure yet what this means, but this is what I seen, and this was on the 27th.
Was this in your dreams in the astral you seen this?
Yeah, this was an astral.
Okay,
I was watching this because I know that I go to the celestial North Pole. I go through the celestial and I go to the higher realms, and I see stuff like this. I see this kind of stuff. Like I just like snapshots. I'll bring snapshots like this back. Like let's see, the night of the 23rd of July, I woke up with a buzzword, and when I woke up with the buzzword, I had forgot it after I got awake, because if I don't write something down immediately, I'll forget it. So I was working out in my garden a little bit later the next morning, and I heard 3 times just an audible voice inside my head say, Viracocha, Viracocha, Viracocha. And I'm like, oh, that was the name that I woke up with, Viracocha, and I had forgot
you
it,
got
right?
that?
Yeah. And so then
Mm-hmm.
I said, when I get back in the house, I'm going to look up what that means, because I didn't know what the name Viracocha meant. I'd heard it somewhere, like, in passing, but I never really paid attention to it. So when I came back in, I'd already forgot it. So I said, Theo, what was the name of that person again? That thing again? Viracocha. So then I go and look, and then I find out that Viracocha is the name for a balanced masculine and feminine archetype that comes when the new civilization, when the golden age comes, when it's the golden dawn, right? And see, we've got this book right here too that we can be. doing a
Oh,
book study on, because this is really interesting, because this has a lot of the different ceremonies and things that they had, and this is the original teachings of the Magi priests. A lot of these things that are in here, because it all goes back to the elements, right? We were talking about the elements and the elementals, and they have
yes.
been really working. They've come out full force. I've been able to like work really closely with the elementals lately, and
Yeah, you've been saying that the veil's really thin with them. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
here and yeah,
Yeah.
because when you live by water, I think that you experience a lot more with the earth elementals, because they're sea gates, right? The energy is coming through the water. So I think that we're going to have a lot of these, a lot of the beings that are going to contact people that don't meditate, that are not connecting, but want to. That these beings are going to come from the water. They're going to come from the water, because I've been taking massive amounts of people to the edge of bodies of water to phase shift, is what they told me. Phase shift. You're showing these people how to phase shift. You're teaching them how to phase shift. And it was like we were preparing for a moment. Like it was like thousands of people, and we would be walking down to a body of water. And I think it might be like this, a big lake, like Lake Walking Water. We'd be walking down to the water, and I'm trying to like figure out why I'm in my pajamas. I'm in my nightgown. I'm walking in my nightgown, like it's like not appropriate to be out in this nightgown, right? My husband is with me. He walks up behind me, and he teases me because he knows what I'm thinking. Apparently, he knows what I'm thinking. And he comes up behind me, and he sticks his finger in my butt crack, just being funny, like, yeah, I know you're in your pajamas, right? Because he knows how I am about modesty. So we're walking down to this lake, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing with all these people? And it's like, you're teaching these people to phase shift. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. Whatever that means is that
Oh,
you're helping these people phase shift, because there's going to time that we're going to have to phase shift. So,
can I can I just interject there because
mhm.
that word has brought something, reminded me of something that I was listening to a lady give a testimony about her experiences. She said that she has been with the Lyrans, and they have basically they are have people here on Earth incarnated from there, and they have been here a long time, and they're going to start phase shift. This is why the word triggered that with me.
My dad's
They're
a
going to
Lyran.
start
My dad's a
phase
Lyran.
shifting.
Yeah.
Really, they're going to start phase shifting the Lyrans here incarnated back. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to go back physically, but maybe it means that they're going to start phase shifting in terms of biolocation or communication or whatever. But it's going to be happening now. The phase shifting with the Lyrans.
There are a lot of
Maybe,
Lyrans here. Matter of fact, I think that most of the souls that we have here doing ascension work right now, a lot of them are Lyrans. And the reason I say that is because the Lyrans got so much trauma imprinted on them from these galactic interactions in the ancient past, right? And so they're carrying the original separation between mother and father. This is why so many people that are Lyrans, they have a lot of emotional problems in their marriages and their relationships with their spouses. They'll have they'll have conflicts with parenting. They a lot of conflicts with parenting, because you had the separation, and a separation of the masculine and feminine, and then almost a pitting against each other. And then you have these boss moms that want to like work 20 jobs, have a bunch of kids, not have no daddy around. That's broken Lyran karma that's supposed to be reconciled. So a lot of
okay.
these single ladies that are doing the whole thing on their own, these are karmic loops that need to be closed from Lyrans. This is my opinion. I strongly believe that. And
Okay.
there are, and Lyrans come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, guys. There's no particular shade on a Lyran. You know, it's just like a cat. A cat can be born any color, a dog can be born any color, right? Right. You know, it has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with it. It doesn't make it any kind of dog that's different. You can have the same dog you can have the same dog in 10 different color patterns, right? Doesn't mean that it's a different dog. It's the same dog, right? Just like
Yeah.
with our
Yeah.
skin. Yeah. People got to get past this whole outward appearance stuff, because originally, you know, I think that we had these groups. We have moon groups, which, you know, it's like I keep getting this thing. It's like, you know, people say that the moon is an installation, but there's this thing that happens every so many, I don't know, thousands of years or what, but it's happening right now. And that is this thing where Venus conjuncts with the moon, and then it ends up circling back, and I don't know if it's like if something clicks into place that a new moon will be born, and that the old moon will replace like a planet or born a new planet. Because I was getting this stuff a while back that eventually that we ourselves can become our own universe. Like we could become a planet, we could become our own universe. That is the ultimate destination for our soul, is to reunite back with source and become a universe that supports life. So, and
Yeah.
you know, how is it that we have this? We have a moon connection that's connected with Earth and with Venus. And Venus is so important to our ascension. And everything on Earth is Venus coded. Everything is encoded with stars. Every single site you go to, old site, you will find it's Venus encoded. It is. And they put it all in our face because Venus brothers and sisters are our older brothers and sisters, our old, even probably our oversouls, right? And they've been trying to help us through this whole ascension process. My grandmother is on Venus. She's in like a seventh dimensional space there. And there's a nursery there that they receive souls, mostly babies and children, that have like deaths that are unexpected or traumatic deaths, or, you know, abortions. That was the one thing that she said, that aborted babies, they go there. They go there. And when they go there, they go through like a going back to the central womb in a way for healing, because it traumatizes the soul when they're aborted. And so they go back for a time, and then they get kind of rehabilitated with the heart space from Venus. This is probably why they go to Venus, because there's something that happened that Earth is like a twin of Venus. There's some type of twinning thing that's happened, and then it has to do with the moon. So I think that our original moon was Mother Earth, and that she sacrificed herself to materialize into Earth for us to have experience. And see, there are a lot of people that come from the moon mother, moon mommy, earth mother. And then maybe this is why when you feel connected to Mother Earth Gaia, that you're conflicted, because you feel like you've been to Venus, you've been to Mars, you've been on the moon, you've been to the sun, you've been on the backside of the sun. You know what I mean? You've been to all of these places in the system, and you're thinking, okay, if I'm an earthling, how is it that I'm connected to all these other places, right? It's because it's just been a
Mm-hmm.
progression. It's been a progression. You know, we started out with one single source, and then it went to two, had to divide masculine and feminine. This is why on the Fibonacci spiral, everything starts with source, and then you've got two ones. Not one, you got two ones in the Fibonacci spiral. You got 1, 1, 2, because it takes a mommy and a daddy to have a baby. And you have to be born in the womb, through a womb, to exist on Earth in 3D. That's the gig. That's the caveat. If you're going to come to Earth, you got to be born. That's how you come to Earth. You have to be born. And in that birthing process, there's a recalibration that happens with the soul when it goes through the living waters of the womb. And so if you notice that we've had a lot of pushing in the past to have C-sections, to have IVF, to have fertility treatments, to have surrogates, and all of this is to try to keep that thing from happening that's in the womb, right? There's a special thing that happens when we pass through the living water.
Well,
And
if born through the birth canal, what spiritual implications do you think it has?
well, I think that when children don't have the opportunity to go through the birth canal, that it can make them more nervous children. Like it does something with their energy field when they go through the water. It kind of like recalibrates their energy field, especially when you have children that are highly evolved souls that are coming into the timeline now. And maybe that was the whole point of it, Karen. And I just got a thump from Theo, so I'm guessing that that's probably a positive. That was one of the things, a collaboration that took place to take children out of the birth canal, passing through the right way, and introduce different techniques for having babies to keep them from being recalibrated, right? Because they already know that this timeline is going to be full of souls that are coming in for the ascension process, right? So if you can retard that process, then you can keep it from happening, or you can try to have it happen the way that you want it to. But it's not been a success. It's not been a success. It's just that, I think that the mothers of these children are a little bit more intuitive, right? This is what I
Yeah,
personally think, that you were like, okay, I understand this in a spiritual sense. So this is what I'm going to do, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, so
I
I think,
mean,
yeah, go ahead.
period. Um, I was kind of pressurized to have a C-section, but I was like, no, I'm baby out. So I was like so determined not to have it. And I like, knew anything about any of this. This is me just being a normie. And me and my husband were like, no, we've got to push this baby out. We
Hmm.
and like we just like we didn't know anything about things, but we just felt for even the baby's physical health didn't come out through the birth canal, it was going to be dangerous. And he came out with fluid all around him, and he was in intensive care. And we feel that if he hadn't been squeezed down that birth canal, then the fluid wouldn't have got squeezed out of his lungs so much, and he
Right.
maybe would have lived. So even on a physical level, yeah, I think parents are like, or mothers and fathers are really like in tune now with their intuition about these
Hmm.
things. Yeah, yeah. Even if they haven't fully like wakened up yet, they're still very intuitive about what they need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but in the past, we were so programmed that everything your doctor said was right, and you didn't know anything about medicine, right? That you don't have a medical degree, don't try to tell me anything. I've had a lot of doctors like that in the past, tell me that I'm a fool because I haven't went to medical school. No, I didn't go and get indoctrinated and waste a whole bunch of money. So yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
totally understand what you're saying. I had twins, so I had C-section. They were 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Those kids were 12 pounds together. Yeah, I had 12 pounds worth of baby. My son
Oh
was
wow.
7'4", and my daughter was 6'12". Yeah.
That's a, yeah. My son was 10'6".
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, my oldest
He was
son,
10.
I had him naturally, but I was in labor for a week. I was in labor for a week.
Oh,
Just for a week. That kid didn't want to come out. And then the cord was around his neck 4 times, so he was about to die. Yeah, so
they
yeah.
both of them. That's crazy, like 3 times for both
Hmm.
of them. It's
Yeah.
like the amount of stories
And when
nowadays is just
my oldest son, he's going to be 33 this year. And him and his wife bought a house out here by me. And I live out in the sticks. So the first night that my son spent the night in his house, he came here the next day because, my kids half the time think I'm batshit crazy because of the stuff I see. And, my son, my twin son, my son that's a twin, he's tuned all of that out. When he was little, he was just flooded with experiences, and a lot of them were connected with me. Like he was in an SSP program, so there's no doubt He would be sleepwalking, running around the house, screaming and asleep, reaching off the bed, trying to save me out of a hole. I mean, it was nightmarish. It was terrible. He had the worst night terrors. And he would see spirits and everything in the house. You know, he would, like, at one time, my husband was working out of town, and he came and got in bed with me in the wee hours of the morning because he's like me. He has traumatic sleep problems, you know, always being bothered in your sleep state. So he would get up a lot of time. Well, my twins slept with all my kids, practically slept with me until they were at the point where it was too old and they were too big to sleep with us, because my kids were always scared at nighttime. They had to be touching me. My son, my twins, my daughter would sleep under my armpit and my son would sleep between my legs. They would sleep on top of me every night. And this was the way it was until they were like 8 years old. Kid you not, they couldn't sleep in their rooms. And then they shared a room together. My oldest son, he couldn't sleep by himself either, and he had to be touching me. He would touch me with his foot. But my son, he got up in the middle of the night, came and got in bed with me, and then he told me the next morning. He said, "Dad came home last night." And I said, "What?" I said, "I didn't see Dad. Where is he?" He was like, "Well, he came home. He walked in the bedroom last night and walked right around on the side of your bed and was standing over the top of you, looking at you." And I got up and I was looking for him, and he wasn't home. I said, "Son, Dad didn't come home last night." And he was like, "Well, I saw him." And I said, "Well, what was Dad wearing when he came home? Did he have his work clothes on? What?" He said he had on a blue uniform shirt, you know, and I guess it looked like one that my brothers would wear when they worked at the citrus plant. It was like a dark blue button down with a name tag on it. And he said that the man walked around the side of the bed, walked over to where I was sleeping, and just stood over the top and was watching me like that.
The astral then he must have seen.
Huh?
Yes. I think it was astral. He was watching that.
No, I think that
Your
it was
husband.
actually someone there. I've had many supernatural experiences in that house, and he has too. We've had them at the
Oh,
same time. Like one time when I had first came home from the hospital, I had this major abdominal surgery, and they cut me from here all the way down. I was totally had my whole abdominal cavity cut open, and it was really painful surgery. I was in the hospital for a week, and the whole time I was in the hospital, I could feel this hostile energy just pacing back and forth outside of my room in the hallway. And I couldn't sleep the whole time I was there. I made my husband stay with me 24/7. I wouldn't let him leave me. So I
were you
got back
frightened?
home. Huh?
You were frightened.
Yeah, well, you know what? The interesting thing is that my husband is an energetic shield for me. He protects me in
Okay,
astral. He's with me a
I've
lot
heard
in
that
astral.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's with me in other
Hmm.
timelines. So I know that my husband has had a role with me in many different lifetimes. Matter of fact, the first time I ever met my husband, we just looked at each other and we knew. We knew. We went
You
on
just
first
went,
our
oh,
first
it's you
date.
again.
We went. I met my husband. We went on our first date. I called my mom and I said, "I just went on a date with a guy I'm gonna marry." My husband and I knew
Aw.
we recognized each other instantaneously. Instantaneous.
Yeah.
Mm. But I know that he's like my protector in other realms too. And he also his energy here protects me in my astral space. So yeah, I have
That's amazing.
huh?
Like, honestly, one time I was being attacked in the astral. It wasn't the astral. It was actually not the astral. It was something beyond the astral.
Did it come into
Um,
3D?
like I was lying in bed and I was asleep, but it was it was the realest experience I've ever had in my life. It was hyper real. It was like this is the dream and that was the real life. That's how
What
real it was. Satan,
No, what was the
the entity
scenario that
known.
happened around it? What happened? How did it come to you? I mean, what was going on in your life? Were you sick or
Uh, I had recently had a baby. I had my son.
your
Um,
first son or
and
your
we were
second
start
son?
second,
Okay.
and I had met my husband, and we were just starting to explore everything. spiritually, and this is when it happened. And I had no power over this thing whatsoever. And this entity was like just pulling me down, taking me out, taking me down. And I screamed, and this is my husband then came up into the room, and I was still out of like seeing this thing while I was awake then, or moving around. And then it stopped, the whole experience stopped. It was like the death scream that I screamed, and it did go away because like my husband came up and was there. So I
His
do
energy,
think
his
there
energy,
is
his energy's like a shield.
protector.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like some sort of protective energy
Mm-hmm.
that can't touch you unless, I don't understand it all, to be honest. I mean,
Well, I mean, would that
it's
that would be like balanced masculine, right? Balanced masculine energy. Because like when I had that
yeah,
experience happen to me when I had that surgery, I came home and I had this demonic looking. Only way I could describe it is it looked like a gargoyle.
yeah. You said yes.
Mm-hmm. It was sitting on top of me,
Yeah.
and then
How did you get rid of that?
um, I said in my head, I said, "Oh, I said, God, please help me." And then I hear
Yeah.
Theo say, "Repeat, the power of Christ compels you."
Yes.
Cliche, right?
Yes.
From The
Good.
Exorcist. Everybody thinks that's a joke line.
No, it's
Well, let
not.
me just tell you, you say it 3 times, the thing is gone. The whole corner of my room opened up and a whole hand came in and grabbed it, pulled it off of me and threw it. I mean, this hand was enormous, like 3 feet wide. Huge giant hand came in like this. The whole corner of my roof, the white part of the ceiling just literally, it was like a hologram. Well, we're in a hologram, right? The whole corner just
That's
vanished. It was
crazy.
it was black.
Amazing.
I could see stars and everything, like I was looking into space. This whole big ass hand came in, grabbed that thing. It was so big they could only pinch it between its finger and the thumb. It grabbed it just like a tweezer and went bloop, and then it went flying backwards. It went through the corner and it just kept going and going and going, and it was black. So it was like black inside of black. And then the hand come out. The roof just went back to just like it never happened. I called my husband. I'm like, oh my God, stuff. He's like, oh, you're just having sleep paralysis. I'm like, no, it wasn't sleep paralysis. This was real. This was real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he doesn't believe in any of that. So he was like, nah, you were just the drugs, the whatever, this anesthesia.
Yeah.
Then literally, my son is screaming from the other room. And he said that there was black monsters under his bed biting his fingers and toes.
Okay. Same one.
Or a group. Or a group.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm.
And the interesting thing is that we lived on Highway 60, which runs east and west across the state of Florida. And it's called Hesperdes Road. It's Hesperdes Road, but they call it State Road 60 now. Hesperdes, like the garden. Hesperdes. Hesper. It sounds like Hesperides. And I'm sure that there's connections with Hesperides and Ireland.
Yeah. I have never heard that. I've never heard that name before.
You haven't? Well, it goes through Avon Park, Sebring. I mean, all the cities in Florida are named after like Greek gods or something like that. So who's to say that when these cities were given these names, and we have all of these cities in Florida that are named after saints. Like St. Augustine, in St. Augustine, there's a church there called Mission San Luis. You see that? Mission San Luis right here?
Yep.
Okay, well, Mission San Luis, that's named after King Louis, that was king from 1226 to 1270. So why would they name a Spanish fort after a French king when they were enemies?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Why would you
Doesn't make sense.
canonize a king, a saint, a king as a saint, a French king as a saint, name a city after them, and you hate the French? That don't even make any sense. It's because these people were already here. So this was San Luis after. It was probably a center of learning because it was a Bastille or a star fort, right? I think that all
Yeah.
of the magi priests, the ones that were the true magi's, I think that they were the ones that were at these citadel places like St. Augustine and these different forts that were star forts. I think that this is where the saints, what we call saints, I think that this is where they had their centers of learning. And then you had a whole town around it, right? And because you had you had builders there, you had people that were learning trades, you were tradesmen, and then you had a farming community. You had the whole community built it like what they call a smart city. This is the old style, what it originally was. It was a center of learning, it was a center of worship, it was a center of ascension. It was how to learn how to ascend. And then they would go on pilgrimages all over the world, right? They would go to other places of higher learning. And they were set all over the world. Like you had them in Turkey, and you had them in Ethiopia, and you had them in Ireland, and you had them in Jerusalem, and all over the place. Constantinople, right? You had you had these different, and I don't think all of them were centers of learning just for men. There were some that were women centers of learning, where we were priestesses, where we were taught. We did pharmacology, we did plants, we did seeding, midwifery, took care of the babies, the childbirths, and all of that kind of stuff. Anything that had to do with life was the female priestess's job. And we wore red robes. We wore red robes. More like actually like the color that you got on, like that maroon color. That's the color that we wore. That? Yeah. Yes.
Like wine.
Yes.
Wine color.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wine red. Wine red. Yes.
And look, I'm wearing roses today.
I know. It's wild that you're wearing that color. But yeah, that was the color that we wore. We had like these little, and they're not fancy. They were just like cotton robes, and they didn't have hoods on them. It was just a cotton robe with a, that just fastened on the front right here. I just put the whole thing over. Yeah, but so yeah, we were the pharmacists, right? And our first pharmacology was our menstrual blood. Starfire.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said our first pharmaceutical was Starfire, or menstrual blood. Menstrual blood.
Can you say more about that?
Sure. Starfire rituals were where we would give the Holy Communion if you were one of the daughters that carried the Starfire blood, which was the blood of the higher celestials, right? You vibrated at a high rate. You were a higher vibrational being, that you carry the Starfire blood, and your menstrual blood was enriched with high levels of melatonin, like off the chart melatonin. So your menstrual blood was mixed in an elixir, and then people drank it. And it was the first pharmaceutical. It helped you stay youthful, healthy, vitality, and it kept you connected with the heavenly realms because you were getting live, high dose melatonin. And then after Starfire rituals ended, because the planet phase shifted out of of the fourth dimensional space and we went into a lower space, we didn't have access to starfire blood anymore. So what did they do? They started eating animal blood. But that ended up turning us into low frequency human beings. And then we all got filled with parasites. And this is why these bodies that they found in these Hallstatt graves that were these old Celtic people, they found parasites in their stomach because we were consuming blood. We had been through a cataclysmic earth changes and people were squeezing into the 30 to 60 degree bands on the planet because the north was getting iced over and the south was getting iced over. And so our poles had gotten shifted. And I'm not sure exactly when this was. This is a memory that I have. I have a memory of us being at the North Pole area and being I thought it was a meteor that hit us, but it literally was a catastrophe. And everybody had to come out of there. I got drowned. I think I got washed away. There's two different times that I have these experiences with water. And I got washed away a couple different times, and this kept me with a strong phobia of dark, deep water. Like I couldn't go on a cruise. I couldn't go past a certain point in the ocean. I mean, I totally triggered freak out, and waves and things like that. I don't even go in the Atlantic Ocean. I don't like the Atlantic Ocean. I won't go in the Atlantic Ocean. I only go in the Gulf. And I know it sounds crazy, but I think that I still have memories in that water on that coastline of something that happened to me where I drowned. But I don't like that water there. It's something about it I just don't like. I won't go to the beach there. I only go to the Gulf. I'm very much keyed into Sarasota. I've lived there. That's my favorite beach. I always go there. My kids have grown up on that beach. I have pictures of them like at 2 years old sitting on that beach together, side by side. It was the cutest thing because I would take them to the beach like every day. And I would take them down there and just let them play. And we would go down there so much that I bought them a regular shovel garden spade to use in the dirt because they destroyed every one of them. They wore them out. They just snap them in half. So they had real garden spade shovels. We go to the beach. This was some serious stuff. And one day, Annalise just went and she sat down right where the water was coming up. She just sat down there with her legs kicked out. She was about 2. And then Garrett, he goes over and he sits right beside her. And he did the exact same thing, kicked his legs out. And they had their back to me and they were just looking out at the water. And I took a picture of them. And it's like the most beautiful picture. I love it. I think I have it in here somewhere, but it's like my most favorite picture. But at the time I took it, I didn't know that they were sitting there facing a Stargate. But, it's a beautiful thing. Like when you talk about how you go back and you think on it and you're like, whoa, that's the reason, right? Yeah. That's the reason for everything. So I wanted
So do you think about your twins? Sorry, I just wanted to ask about your twins because you mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about balancing the masculine and feminine. Mm-hmm. That you had, it's no coincidence that you had twins and one was a girl and one was a boy.
Yeah, well, what that is, what I've been told is that everything usually and originally in the family template, there were a set of twins a lot of times, but it was always one girl, 2 boys. And that was to balance the masculine and feminine. Well, the way that I understand it, when you have twins in real time or Irish twins, have you ever heard the term Irish twins, right?
Yeah, I'm an Irish twin. Yeah.
Okay, so when this happens, basically this is the dualistic aspect of your own soul expression being born into 2 bodies.
I see.
And it's all balanced in real time.
Okay. And what if your Irish twin doesn't speak to you?
I'm Irish twins with both my brothers. Both of my brothers. I gotta put my house coat on. I'm sitting right under the vent and I'm freezing. Okay. I'll get back in the frame in just a second. Keep talking. I'm listening.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, with the division, with the ostracization of families today, especially with the star seeds and light workers, etc., that I'm one of the people that has happened to, and it's very hurtful that when you get ostracized and kicked out of the family, and especially like I am an Irish twin and my sister doesn't speak to me at all, and
Well, that's
it's very difficult.
dualistic. I mean, that's dualism that she has to overcome and you have to overcome, right? Because she's the other half of that expression. Think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like my son and daughter, they go through ebb and flows with their relationship. When they were little, they were inseparable. Inseparable. They would not do anything without the other. Then when Garrett got about, I'd say he got about 10, 11 years old, he didn't want to play with her anymore. And it crushed her. It crushed her.
Yeah.
She couldn't, she was like, they can't play with me. I'm like, I can't make him play with
Yeah.
you. Where's your friends? Garrett's my friend.
Yeah.
She wanted to keep that connection. She would hold on to it, right?
Yeah,
He didn't
my
want to
sister
push
was
her
like that
away.
with me, and I felt smothered. I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was just too much.
So she probably
Yeah.
is carrying. She's probably carrying the moon or mother aspect, and you're carrying the solar
Mm.
masculine aspect, and you're dynamic, right? She's moody.
Yeah,
Is she
yeah,
moody? Right. She's moony. She's moony. Right. So yeah, Garrett
yeah.
carries the solar, and my daughter carries the lunar. And I was told. Theo told me. He told me that. He said, "Be easy, very gentle on your daughter because she has a huge heart. She has a huge heart expression, and you have to really treat her with kid gloves." That's what he told me a long time ago. And it's true. It's
Mm.
true. She's extremely sensitive. Like I was the same way. When I was little, if my dad got upset with me and he screamed at me, I would just break down and cry. I couldn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
I would just fall to pieces. I really would. I couldn't. I never had to really be corrected when I was a child. I never give my parents any trouble ever. I was not a kid that didn't follow rules. But you have to also think back about the programming. In the SSP programs, when they're taking you out of your timeline in your sleep, they come in and they take you. They kidnap you and they take you through time portals. Like when I was little, they were taking me under Greenland, and they were doing something bad to me because when I would come back, I'd run, go get in bed with my parents because I'd be scared. I would think I was having nightmares. But the problem was that down there would be burning. And I would go tell my mom, I need medicine because I'm on fire. And she always thought that I
Mm.
was allergic to bath soap or, like soap. And so when I would
Yeah.
she would give me my bath at night, she would be like making me rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse, because we were like fanatical about cleanliness when I was a kid. So, I was a very clean
Yes.
kid. Yeah. So, my mom was like, wash inside, wash outside. I'm a little, rinse it out, rinse, rinse, rinse. You're allergic to the soap. It bothers your skin. That's what they would tell me. It's the soap. It's the soap. It wasn't my parents.
Okay.
I had amazing parents. I
Yeah.
don't want to give anybody that idea. My
Oh
parents
no,
never
not at
harmed.
all.
No, I mean, if somebody says, "Oh, well, the reason that was happening is one of your parents was doing that to you," but no, that wasn't the case.
No.
That wasn't the case. I
Yeah.
would run to my parents. My dad had to tuck me in bed every night. I wouldn't go to bed
Mm-hmm.
unless my dad tucked me in. He would have to tuck me
Okay.
in. Yeah, I had really weird bedtime rituals. The other thing is that I would only play with dolls. I preferred dolls that eyes closed down. Do you remember those dolls from the 70s that when you laid them down, their eye closed? I had to have
Yeah.
those kind of dolls. And I did have one doll that I took everywhere with me. And I embarrassed my mom because it was so terrible looking. I had taken this doll, taken all the clothes off of it, chopped its hair off with the scissors, defaced it with a marker, and I would never put any clothes on it, and I took it everywhere I went. And my mom was so embarrassed. She would be like, "Please go get another doll." And I'd be like, "No, no, this is my baby." But I think that I was emulating myself of what was happening to me, right? Because of the
Mm-hmm.
programs. And so at
And
nighttime, I would have this weird, weird bedtime ritual where my mom and I would have to take all of the babies. that didn't have closing eyes, they had to be sealed inside the toy box. Not one single crack could be in the lid. Had to be closed completely. The ones that had the eyes that closed, they could stay out, but they had to be laying down because they could not have open eyes. So the fact that there was so much effort as a 3-year-old to make sure that I didn't have eyes looking at me is rather alarming, you know?
Hmm. That
Mm-hmm.
shows you something was happening. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have any memories of anything that happened back then? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to,
Um,
but
yeah, I mean, I do have some memories. I believe that we had a handler at 3. I had a
okay.
handler, and my brothers had a handler. I think
Mm-hmm.
that we had a handler that came to where we lived. We used to live in this apartment complex. It was kind of like condos. It was like in a circle. It looked like this, honestly. There was apartments in the middle, and then there was a ring around that, and there were apartments all around that, and they were all 2-story condos. And then in the middle here in the center, they had like a playground and an area that was just like big open field area that the community and the kids could go and play. Well, my brothers and I, we lived in an apartment that was right on the front side of that big open field. And there was only 2 ways to get it in and out of this complex. And so my brothers and I, we were always riding big wheels and bikes and playing and stuff. And, kids have accidents. Anytime that I ever fell down on my bike, anytime my brothers ever had a wreck, anytime that we ever had something happen, get hit by a ball, whatever, we would have this one guy that would be right there to take us home. And he was like 20 years old. His mother was the super of our condominium complex. And he just came out of nowhere. I've talked to my parents about this situation so many times. I'm like, where did this guy come from? Where did he come from?
Yeah.
What do you guys know about him? And my mom has said this many times. You know what? I don't know where he came from, she said, but there was something really weird about him because she said he just came out of nowhere and that nobody knew anything about him. Nobody even knew that she supposedly had a son. Nobody knew she had a son or anything. This was supposed to be her son. And that he had been away for a while. And that was really basically, but she had,
That was
she was the mother. She really took a shine to my parents. Like she wanted to be friendly with them and they were very friendly with her. My parents are just good old honest hillbilly people. They don't think the negative part of every person that they've got an agenda, right? So my parents were friends with her. And then her son comes along out of nowhere and then trying to be friends with kids, right? So anytime we had an accident, anytime he would scoop us up and he would pick me up and carry literally as soon as my body hit the ground off of my bike, he would be picking me up
he
and
was there.
carrying me home. And there were a lot of times that he would sit me on his lap and he would be rubbing my back. And he was always telling my mom, Stacy has the softest skin. Mm.
Okay.
I'm like, that is so
So
creepy. That is so
do you
creepy.
think it's like very unusual? Do you think that all handlers know that they're handlers, or do you think there's some people who don't know that they're handlers?
I think that some people don't, and I think some people absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mixture of both.
Yeah, I
Right.
do because I've had boyfriends. I had one boyfriend in particular. His nickname was Wolf. Turned out to work for the
Make
government.
it up.
Yeah, and I'm not going to divulge too much about him because I respect his privacy, right? But
Yep.
this is like 30 years ago. It was an activation. Guy worked for the government, security clearance. The nickname was Wolf. But I dated this guy for a year, and he had completely different. He was very dishonest about his background. Come to find out,
Hmm.
he wasn't who he said at all. The whole story he told me about his identity was a lie, and then he kept the whole charade
Okay.
going for quite a long time. And then
Yeah.
after it was all over with, I did a little hunting, and I found out, oh, this guy is not who he said he was at all. Matter of fact, is I don't even know why
Mm.
he would have been dating me, because that wasn't when you're already in relationships, you shouldn't be dating other people, right? And I find that
Mhm.
very, very, I find that very foul. You know, to that's ensnaring people. When you're deceptive and you ensnare someone into a web of your lies, and you have someone doing something that goes against their moral values unknowingly,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like,
Yeah.
this is kind of like what happens in our field, right? We have people unknowingly consenting to things, and then it relinquishes others of karma. This is why we have to be informed at all times, because when you go along with something, you're agreeing to it. You're agreeing to it. This is why we have to stand in our sovereignty and say, no more. We're not agreeing to this. We don't agree with this. We don't want war. I don't want to. I'm not sending my kids to war. Send your own fucking kids, is the way I look at it. Trump, you want to fight
Mhm.
Iran? All these congressmen, Pete Hegseth, send your own fucking kids. You know, give them a poo poo
Yeah.
and put them up there and let them get their brains shot out. You're not going to steal my kids
Yeah.
and make them do it. No. I don't believe in that shit. My family has served this country for hundreds and hundreds of years. They've given their lives for this country. They wrote the laws for
Yeah.
this country. And
Mhm.
this is a big stand for me to take, but I realize that we have to have a whole different way of being now. We're this story that we are going into, this timeline that we're going into, is not going to be exactly like the timelines that we've had in the past. We are making a whole new timeline, guys. We're taking the original template of Earth, which was all organic and natural, the garden, and we are applying all of the knowledge that we've learned over the past, of the mistakes and the things that we did wrong in the past, and we're not going to repeat those again. This is why we have all these higher evolved souls that are here right now. It's to make it right. We have the ascension this time, but people can still choose, right? You can still choose. If you don't want to ascend, you don't have to. You don't have to.
You don't have to. Yeah. So, do you
Mhm.
think that
But
there
you
will
eventually
be
will. You
as
eventually will, or you go back.
uh,
You go back through the wash. You either go
of
up or down,
course
but it all
eventually?
comes back.
Do you believe that there's going to be an event whereby it's going to be like the split, and we will be like 4D or 5D living together, and then the 3Ds can all go and fucking do what they want to each other and carry on living in the shadows until they're
You know,
ready to.
yeah, I do. I do. I honestly think that what will happen, it'll be just like it is right now. And I have beings that live in the same space as me that I can't see. I have,
Yeah.
I call him Mr. Geo. Mr. Geo is my house resident. He's been here before I got here. He's still here. He saved my house from being burnt down. He's protective spirit. He's in fourth
He's a
dimensional
guardian.
space. He's in fourth dimensional space. He's been in my attic since I moved here. So this house that sits here, there's a totally different version of this house sitting right here. And other beings are inhabiting this same space with us, all around
Hmm.
us. They can
Yeah.
see us. We can't see them.
Yeah, we can't perceive them yet. Or
Right.
you can. Some of them, yeah. Some people can perceive elements of them.
But think
Yeah.
about it. So think about it. What about when we ascend? Right? When we ascend, we're going to be visually able to see three people that are in the three-dimensional space, and they will not be able to
Okay.
observe us.
Ah, so
You
that's
will
what's
be
going to
on a
happen then.
beach. You will be on a beach. You could be on a beach, laying in the sand, getting a suntan, right, in your reality. And there will be people
Mm-hmm.
that'll be moving all around that have no idea that you're even there. They won't. They'll just phase right through.
Yeah, they just can't perceive you at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like in that movie Lucy, where she walks into like Times Square or whatever, and there's people walking all around her. Nobody sees her, and she's going like this. She's just flipping the timeline. She's spinning it. she's going forward and backwards, and she's going forward, and she's speeding it up, and then she speeds it all the way back to an ape sitting in a chair that goes like this. If you've never watched the movie Lucy, you've got to watch it, because it is kind of like that. It is kind of like that. It's, because Mother Earth had forms here that were smaller versions of our oversoul figure forms from other dimensional spaces. The only way I can describe it. Like, the reason we have cats and dogs and things like that is because there's a larger version of that same genetic form in a different system. And they come from all over, but these are earth animals, right? And they go through stages of evolution just like we do. When a new soul is born, and there are some beings that can give life to new souls. Primordial stream souls can birth new souls. And these souls all start out at the microphase on Earth. You start out as a mineral, you become a plant, you become an animal, and you build up into a human. This is the way I believe it. And I truly believe that the dog is probably the dog and the cat, but especially the dog, is the animal that is the incarnation before humanity. And the reason I say this is because dogs' minds are programmed for unconditional love. You're learning the Venus experience, the Venus aspect of unconditional love in a dog body, because a dog will love you whether you are 900 pounds, if you smell like shit, if you live in a box, if you beat them, they will still love you unconditionally, right? And so you come into, I think that the dog form, and this is why dog spelled backwards is God. And there are bigger animal forms that were humanoid in the past, because this was work in progress. The human form was a work in progress. It took updating and tweaking and building over time to be able to take the soul expression from these higher dimensional realms. So it's like we have this whole victim villain narrative going on about this last timeline. But when the rubber meets the road, we had to have a physical upgrade in the human body. The Anunnaki came and they gave it to us. The problem is that our archetypes did not get put into the field in the correct order. Like, you have to be born, you have to be a mineral, then you have to be a vegetable, then you have to be an animal, then you become a human. Okay, if you become a human before you've ever been an animal or a vegetable or a mineral, you've missed out on the steps that you need. You see what I'm saying? You follow an order. So what happened when the Anunnaki were here is that we got a little too much juju. And so we were able to, we skipped over steps. It's like we went from 5th grade to high school. And we shouldn't have done that. We should have went from 5th to 6th, because we lost some of our basic steps that we needed to do. So it kind of it was a hiccup. It was a hiccup. But it wasn't because they were really evil. We were doing this experiment. This is something we agreed to do. We wanted to see all aspects of how to express our God, our source particles in physical reality. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I do think that we were animals, and we were animals before we were humans. I do think that. I can't decide if I'm hot or cold.
You're middle-aged like me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm having so many flare-ups with my back.
Basically, I'm like, give me my estrogen or I will kill you.
I know, right? I know, and it makes you so dry. Goodness. It's crazy. So I mean, it is very interesting. Now, I did want to talk about this one thing, and
so what I want to suggest to you, Stacey, if it's okay, I'm going to come off camera now, because I'm neurodiverse, baby. I know it's all the rage these days, but I get tired. quickly
Okay.
on camera and
Well,
stuff. So, and I also I'm going to go on my laptop and listen live and just listen to you give some information out if that's okay with you. But it's been
yeah,
like a
I want.
real
I do
blast
want to ask you
chatting.
something real quick though before you go, Karen. I want to ask you about raw dairy in Ireland. Do
Okay.
you guys get milk from a dairy that's unpasteurized? And
You
what is your
can.
family? What does your family say about drinking raw milk? Like, is there something special in the raw milk? Because you know the enzyme to digest milk came from the Irish,
Yeah, yeah, the
right?
lactase. Yeah. Well, if you can get raw milk, I think that's great. Personally, I don't know. I haven't tried to source it, so I just drink organic milk.
Well, do you know? Do you have any theories on why the Irish people started drinking milk?
Why we well, I mean the historians say it was because of the bakers came and because of the agriculture that those genes get into the gene pool where we were able to drink milk into adulthood, and that's where it came from historically. But I don't know any alternative theories on that.
So I want to tell you something real quick before you go because we'll just end the live stream if you can hang on like 10
Mm-hmm.
minutes longer because this I think you're going to find this really interesting. Okay, so
Okay.
July 31st, the night of July 31st, I had this astral experience where I was with these, I don't know, I was on some type of mission or I was trying to recruit these guys to work for me or they were working with me. And they were 20
Right.
something group of kids. And I was with one at a time throughout this experience. But the one that I remember the most was the last one, which was a guy, and he was probably my son's age. He had short, dark hair, and he was driving. We were riding in a brown, like a 85 Cutlass, Chevy Cutlass, and it was brown. And he was eating ice cream in a cone. Now, the interesting thing about that, it just sounds like some crazy ass dream, right? There's a guy named Daryl James. And Daryl James talks about when he was taken in the programs as a child, they paid him in ice cream and he got chubby. Well, when I was 3.5 and I was being taken through the timelines, when I got about 7 years old, I got really chubby. My parents could not figure out why I was chubby. They could not figure it out. My mother was the one that cooked us every meal. She made our plate.
Mm.
She took care of all of our food. So I was not eating anything that would constitute that, right? It would require me to have other things. And so I was
Okay.
taken to the doctor. My mom took me to the doctor because she was trying, her and my dad were trying to figure out why I was getting fat. They couldn't figure it out. Okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I started thinking, okay, why is it that they would pay us in ice cream? There's got to be more to it with ice cream,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
lately, I've been thinking about raw milk and getting raw milk because I bought some rennet and I want to make my own cheese. So let me read to you this little paper here about milk, raw milk. Okay. So
Right.
I asked, I said, what's the difference between raw milk and regular milk that's pasteurized? It says raw milk contains several natural occurring enzymes that are greatly reduced or inactivated by pasteurization. So there's 6 different kinds, but the one that struck me the most was the enzyme called alkaline phosphatase. PHOSPHATASE.
I've
Because
heard
it
of it.
works, yeah, because it works with phosphorus. Phosphorus, right? It says we've talked about phosphorus before on the channel in symbolic context and it's really just as interesting biologically as it is symbolically, because when you're talking about symbolic phosphorus, you're talking about Lucifer, Phosphoros, right? So anyway, removes phosphate groups from molecules, making phosphorus available for many metabolic processes, including, now get this, remember I said that these bird beings came through the moon, right? And birds have to be fed calcium because of their wings and their bones, all right? Alkaline phosphatase removes phosphate groups from molecules, making phosphorus available for many metabolic processes, including bone mineralization and cellular signaling. So this enzyme is so important in growing animals. So if you freeze this milk, you still have the enzymes. So ice cream would be a way to give these very important enzymes, and maybe this is why they said name a channel Sacred Enzymes, Stacy, is to get these enzymes so you can phase shift in and out of portals and timelines and stuff, and it not destroy your bones, because my bones are shot. My bones are shot. I have been back and forth through these timelines so many times. My whole back's full of metal hardware. I've had 2 back surgeries, probably going to have a 3. My shoulder's bad. I'm going to have this fixed. My rotacuff is bad. I just popped a tendon in my hip, and I'm walking on a cane. I mean, I'm telling you what, my body's been through the ringer in these programs. You know, it was just like, I never thought I'd outlive my brother. Both my brothers are gone. That's why I really strongly feel that they were in the programs too. Both my brothers have died. Well, I'm going to be 55 in October, and I'll have outlived my oldest brother. He died at 54 3 years ago. My other brother died during COVID at 51.
No
51.
way.
Yeah. I'm the only one left.
My
parents. Yeah, my dad just turned 86. And my mom is 78. She'll be 79. But yeah, I'm telling you.
My dear God.
So
I'm
there's
so
something
sorry
with
to
the
hear
ice
that,
cream.
Stacey.
There's something with the ice cream. And Daryl James talks about it. And he was like, yeah, they were paying me ice cream. And I was like, no fucking way. I think they were paying me an ice cream too. That's why I got fat. They were giving me ice cream because they were trying to give me the enzymes so my bones would hold up when I got older. Because I was going to the celestial realms, but I was also being intercepted by nefarious beings, because I've had some interactions with some nefarious beings, and got really intense when I first moved out of my house when I was 18, and I moved in with my boyfriend. And let me tell you, I went through some really traumatic shit there, with something torturing me, traumatizing me, hitting me in the chest with its invisible finger. My car started up and drove into my house. Oh, yeah, I've had some crazy experiences there. I had this huge, dark, black shadow thing that would stand in my doorway and watch me take a shower, take a bath, change my clothes. It was like a perverted entity. Stand in the doorway and watch me lay in bed and go to sleep at night. And, I was talking to my grandmother, because my grandmother raised me as a spiritualist. She was my mentor. So I was calling her at like 18 years old, 7, 8 o'clock at night, saying, Grandma, tell me what to do. I'm afraid to go to bed. She was like, get your Bible out, hon. Get your Bible out. And you put it under your pillow.
Pray for us.
Yeah. She said, pray for protection. She said, nothing can harm you. And so that's what I was doing. And then the other thing she said was, and ignore them. Ignore them. And I said, ignore them? Okay. She said, it doesn't matter. You just pretend like you don't see them. And I said, okay. So I seen this huge, this thing was bigger than the doorway. I kid you not, like 8 foot tall. 9 foot tall, huge, black. And this leads me kind of to believe that either it was either like one of the fallen reptilian type entities or something along those lines, one that's running in a shadow aspect of the light,
Yeah.
for this experiment, was standing, and it was just oozing evil. And I could see the whole outline. And let me tell you, it was blacker than the black room. Like there was no lights in the room, and I could see it in the blackness, which is weird. It's blacker than the black. And it was waiting to traumatize me. And I just it was reading my thoughts. That was the other thing. Because it was
Telepathic,
reading my
yeah.
thoughts, and I kept telling myself, just pretend like you don't see it, Stacy. Just pretend like it's not there. Ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. I'm saying all these things to myself, like, just ignore it. Just calm down. Take a breath. Calm down. Just pretend it's not there. Pretend it's not there. And literally, I had that thing came over and went on my shoulder like that. I was so scared, Karen. It physically hit me repeatedly like this in your shoulder, like, oh no, motherfucker, you're going to get up. No, you're not going to ignore me. And I mean, I'll tell you what, it hit me in my shoulder like 3 or 4 times, scared the shit out of me. I just froze.
Yeah.
I just was paralyzed. I couldn't open my eyes. I literally, at that point in time, thought there was a flesh and blood human being in the room with me, because it physically hit me, right? When I finally had the courage to open my eyes, it took me a good 10, 15 seconds. I'm not going to lie. I was so fucking scared. There was nothing there. Nothing there. And then it was about 2 weeks later, I wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to this huge crash. And, back in that day, we didn't have AC. So I had a box fan in my bedroom window with the window open. I hear the fan just crash, and all I see is light shining in the window, like a UFO almost. Like, what the hell? Run over to the window, and it was my car headlights. They were on, and my car was sitting on the house.
Holy.
I called the cops because I thought somebody
Smokes.
was stealing my car. They come, and they're like, there's no evidence here that your car's even been tampered with. So they thought that I was drunk driving, and then I came home, drove into my house, went in the house, put on my pajamas, flussled myself all up, and then called them to say that somebody tried to steal my car.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
so
So
I
they were
worked
like thinking you're.
I worked at the trucking company in the maintenance department. So I went and got the manager the next day. I went to work. I got the guy that was over the shop, who was a good friend of mine. I said, hey, can you come by my house and look at my car? I had a really weird experience last night, and I got to know how my car started up on its own without a key. He was like, wow, yeah, I got to know now myself. So he comes over, and literally the entire wiring harness of my car melted together, started up, and because my car was a stick shift, I would put my car in first and just turn it off, and it would just stay parked. My car, because it was in first, it jumped into the house when it started up, because it was in first. It started
The
up
melted
and
wires.
jumped.
So
I was like,
it was
talk about
actually hot wired. It was hot wired.
spiritually hot wired.
Spiritually hot wired. Yeah.
Yes, and I had him
That
cut that
is
wiring harness out of my car, and I have it here somewhere. This is literally, let's see, I'm going to be 55.
evidence.
This is literally almost 40 years ago, and I still have it in a baggie somewhere. The harness
God love
all
you, only
melted
being
together.
like 18. That's such a lot to go through at 18. It must have scared the complete crap out of you.
Oh, it really did. I felt like someone was trying to kill me. I'm not going to kid you. I really did. I really did. There was somebody there, but yeah, it traumatized me and my boyfriend both of us. It was terrible,
and
but it really loved me.
They do that when you're young, you see, and you don't know how to do any spiritual protection, and they really get their digs in then, don't they?
Yes,
because
So
they can see what's going to happen in the future.
Our friend from New York just popped in. Hello.
Hi.
How you been, hon?
Hello.
So yeah, I really think this is interesting, and this warrants some more studying, on this stuff with the milk and the feeding
Yes, you
ice
have to
cream
get
in
some
the
live
timeline.
milk.
Hi, hon. I hope you're doing well today. You have to go back and catch the live. Oh, good, good, good. We were talking about all kind of crazy stuff on here.
Oh yeah.
so we
Yeah.
So we were just getting ready to call it a morning. We've been on here for an hour and 16 minutes. 116 minutes. Oh yeah, I wish I could sleep in.
What time zone? They're just waking up in New York, so it's like regular waking up time in New York, isn't it?
Yeah, but like
Right
10
now.
o'clock. Yeah, a lot of people sleep in on
Yeah,
the
10 o'clock
weekends here
still
because they work so many
early.
hours.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Americans work like tons of hours, tons of hours. Like it's not uncommon for my mom,
Yeah.
my husband to work 6, 7 days a week sometimes, and
You
travel.
guys work too much. You guys work too
Mhm.
much.
Well,
We don't
before
work
I
half as
got,
much as
yeah,
you.
before I had to retire, literally, I would work a minimum of 60 hours a week, and then my commute would be an extra 10, 20 hours a week, depending on where they were sending me.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I'm telling you, just crazy.
Hmm.
Whenever I lived in America, and people would be like getting ready for work, getting up at 6 and being in work for 8 a.m. I'm like, what the heck? Like, we're
Oh,
just getting up
yeah.
at about 8
Oh, I
and
used to
getting
have to
into
be
work.
at work at 3 a.m. I was manager
Oh,
for Publix. I don't know if you've ever heard of Publix supermarkets, but I was a manager for
no.
Publix supermarkets. So if, when the stock crew came in, we had to be there at 3 a.m. So, my department didn't open till 7, but if I was running the store because I was a manager in charge, I would have to take care of the whole store. I'd have to come in at 3. So literally there would be sometimes I'd have a turnaround. I'd have to close. The store wouldn't close till 9, but because I took care of the office, I was a customer service manager. We'd have to do all the accounting. And so if there were problems, I'd be there till 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to turn around and be back at 3. I mean, it was crazy some of the
Oh,
hours that
no.
we worked. And then hurricanes, you'd be there for 100 hours practically. The store would literally be running like when we had let's see, what was the last one? Hurricane Charlie that really destroyed Central Florida. I was down in near Orlando, near Kissimmee. I worked at Champions Gate. I was there till like an hour before the hurricane hit Punta Gorda as I was just leaving my store going home. And I lived, oh gosh, like 40 miles away, 50 miles away, an hour drive. I was the last one at my store with my manager. I didn't have no gas in my car. I stopped right before the gas station closed. The guy let me get $20 in my tank. Yeah, it was terrible. And I was racing home, being chased by a hurricane. No shit. And then we lost all of our refrigeration because everybody lost the electricity, right? We lost all the refrigeration in the
Yeah.
store. We had ice machines where we were giving away ice bags to people that had diabetic medicines. People were fleeing the state. We had thousands of people in our store. It was chaos, utter chaos. We had nothing perishable. It was crazy. It was crazy. And
What
no
storm did you call
alarms,
that?
huh?
What storm did you call it? What hurricane?
Hurricane Charlie.
Oh, Hurricane Charlie. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
That
Oh,
was
my dad.
crazy.
That's
That
his
ran
name. My
right
dad's
up.
name.
Yeah, that ran right up the state.
Oh,
It was scary.
yes. Yeah.
And then it ran up the coast, I believe. And so, we weren't the only ones that got hit with that. But when you think about it, you think, okay, was that a manufactured storm too? Right?
There's something about Charlie, the name Charlie. There was something going on around here in Ireland whereby
Charlie
the
Kirk.
kids were conjuring. They were conjuring up this entity called Charlie by repeating its name. The school kids, and it went round all of the schools here in Northern Ireland, and like all sorts of weird paranormal shit was happening and stuff, and the
Well, if
kids were
you
getting
think
terrified.
about it, that's what these people do in these circles that have these rituals to like ball and all of these. They create that entity. That is a fraction of one of the half of an archetype. It would be like if you had twins, okay? We were talking about the twins before, right? Say that we have the shadow aspect of the twin, right? And then we take that twin, and then there's a fraction of that that's kind of made into like a poltergeist. Like, when you have these people that have these houses and they have this paranormal activity and they say, come and investigate it. And it's like, you're the one that's causing it.
Yeah, it's
Right?
like a thought form. It becomes like an entity.
Right. So this is what they do by these rituals, because they have the same ritual, exactly the same. It has every component of it has to be exactly the same as every single time, right? They do it on certain days. They use certain ingredients. It's a certain practice as they do. Everything is exactly like it's always been done. It's like following a recipe to the letter. And that's because it's like a phone call. So if everybody keeps on doing the same thing, like when they were creating a Charlie, like you can create a ball, you can create all of these gods that they call gods that are demonics. They can actually manifest this. But then you also have these beings that don't have on the polarity, right? The polarity of 4D, where they don't have a physical body, but they want to be here because they want to do nasty stuff, right? They want to do nasty stuff. So they do deals, right? You let me have your body, you give me a little something that I want, right? Just like the
Yeah.
addict that got to get a hit or a drink, right? Right. There's beings that they call us wagons, is what they told me. They call us wagons when they're like looking for a fix, and when you have a disembodied soul that hasn't crossed over and they're in the in between space and they're addicted to alcohol or drugs or whatever. They find somebody in a bar or they find somebody on the street and they ride them like a wagon. That's what they told me. They ride them
Wow.
like a wagon. They call us wagons. And that is creepy beyond
Crazy.
belief. Isn't that gross?
That makes sense because whenever people get really steaming, like really drunk, they do vacate their body and something else inhabits it. And it's usually something nasty and a complete different persona or person comes
Yep.
out in certain people. So yeah, I can definitely see that, and it doesn't normally happen to people who've just started drinking. But it's people who are
Right. Well, because
addicted, so that like the
puts
same
holes in
entity
you.
keeps coming back.
Right. It's kind of like a leaky gut, right? It's a slow takeover. Right.
Mm,
It's like you turn into Swiss cheese and your field gets holes in it.
like a
So when your
takeover.
field
Yeah,
gets the holes in it, it's like having leaky gut syndrome. They're parasites. They're spiritual parasites.
yeah.
Just like our gut gets full of parasites. Our field gets full of parasites. And when we drink and do drugs and things like that, it puts holes in your field and they can get in. We're supposed to be sealed. We're like supposed to be in an egg, a protective
The aura.
layer. Yeah. So once they can get in, and they make you sick. The first thing is to destroy your body, right? Break your body down. And then start in your stomach. And it's all introduced through our food.
And they lower your vibration, so then more things can come in. And then they try and get you
So
to
even
kill yourself.
worse. Right. Yeah. A total
Yeah.
takeover, right? A total and
Mm-hmm.
complete takeover. Instead of being a
I mean, we've
wagon,
all
we become
experienced it.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced this myself.
We all have.
I'm
We
not
all
like
have.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, that happens to other people." It's happened to me loads of
Yeah.
times,
Oh, me too.
like
There's been many times that I
yeah.
was not myself. That I did things that would not myself. It's nothing I would normally do. We all have. We all have been under the influence of higher, vibrational beings and lower vibrational beings because they inhabit the same
Mm-hmm.
space, just different polarities of it. It's called the
Mm.
midway space. They call it the midway space in the Urantia book. They call it the midway.
Wow.
Now, the Urantia
See
book is
before.
massive, but you can read it online, and you can go to like a search bar. If there's something that you're really interested in reading about, you can go to the Urantia book and you can type it in the search bar, and it'll pull up all of the paragraphs that talk anything about that particular thing. But it's super interesting because
Okay.
they talk about Archangel Michael being the oversoul of Jesus. So
Really?
Michael being the protector, they call Michael the protector of man. So his archetype is the solar masculine protector. So it gives you a whole
That's
nother
so.
perspective on how to think about the whole Jesus thing and the Christ consciousness and the Archangel Michael. And, there are forms of function of influence. What kind of influences depends on what the entity is, right? We have all these different forms of influence, and they're getting dropped one by one. The major archetypes are being dropped into our field. We're being spoon fed them because we're activating, right? And then we could take the archetype now. Theo just stumped me again, right? Because we're ready now for the integration. Before we weren't ready, right? Because we'd gotten those steps out of order. So we had to go back and learn basic math before we could do calculus, right? We were learning calculus before we even knew the fundamentals of addition. It's like giving a baby a gun. You just don't do that. It's
Yeah.
like giving a baby the car keys and saying, go drive the car, right? One day that baby will
Yeah.
grow up to drive that car, but right now it's just not a very good idea to put a baby in a car, right? So, I mean, I think that we're right on time now. I think that the timelines have merged. I really do. I think that
I
we're phase
feel
shifted
something has
now.
shifted.
Yeah, I noticed on Friday, big time.
Yeah, something's definitely the pressure and the energy right now. It's just like still. It's like this. I feel this stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is so like there's something happening, and also like people are more happier. And I'm not saying there aren't challenges there are of course, but there's something definitely shifted. I can feel it and I can sense it as well. And
Yeah.
everything is sort of like weaving together. And like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big believer in divine timing for everything. And sometimes we get lost on the path and we think, oh, I'm out of alignment. But really you're not, and you always end up back being divinely aligned to exactly where you're supposed to be.
Right. We end up
Um
right back on the wheel, right? We've got all of these forms of influence that when we are being stagnant, right? You got to have a little something to get little dynamite underneath your ass, right? Basically, what
yeah,
it is.
like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
keep growing, keep expanding, keep
Yeah.
progressing, more complexity, and enhancing the quality of life. So, before I go, because I'm going to sign off, but you
Yep.
can keep
We're
going
getting.
and I'd love to keep listening to you. Um, I would be interested in the book club, so put me down for that.
Okay.
And
So, couture. So this we're gonna start a book club, and we're gonna review this book right here. You can, if you want to, you don't have to get the book, but if you want to be part of this book club, this is a super interesting book. And I think that would be an awesome book for us to do a book club on. I ordered this used online, and I think I paid like $5 for it at Thrift Books. Oh yeah, I
oh,
don't pay. I don't pay new price for any books. No way. Yeah, like $5. So yeah, most of the books I get are $1.25, unless they're hardbacks, and they're $2.
shut
So
up.
yeah, you see
Shut
the.
up.
Can you see on the screen
Fuck.
the name of the book? It says Connor McDarry. I'm not sure. I have really bad glasses on today. Do you see the name of the book on there?
Yep,
Okay.
Connor McDarry. It's
Okay.
backwards,
All
but
right.
yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody can see it that comes and views us later. All right. Very good. And then I think that, we'll, as we're reading that one along, that we'll also reference back and forth with this one. everybody doesn't have to order this. I can share everything in this because this was a little bit of a pricey book. I think I paid like $25 for it, but it does have like a lot of interesting stuff in it. We could probably find it used. You know, it has. Doesn't this look familiar? You see this in the Hebrew Bible,
Yeah.
right? Wonder where they
Kabbalah,
got it, right?
truly.
Yeah. Um. Well, what day, Karen, would be a good day for us to start on this? We need to give time for people to get the book, like maybe in a week.
Yeah, and then they have to read it. So
Well, I mean,
maybe
we can
2
all read
weeks.
it together. We could read it together. We could go over one chapter at a time and do it as like a group
Okay.
read.
Yeah,
Maybe
let's do that. That sounds good.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna start in a week. So let's see. So Monday, not this Monday, but next Monday will be. And then, do we want to do it at morning, or do we want to do it on next Sunday? How about next Sunday? That way, people are home. Why don't we do it on Sunday?
I can do Sunday. Yeah, I can do Sunday.
Okay. What about you, Couture? Can you do next Sunday? So we could do next Sunday. We'll start our first one. So do you got a calendar, Karen, that you can see what next Sunday's date is? Okay.
Yeah, give us a
so
sec.
we can do it in the morning on Sunday. Why don't we meet back at 9 a.m. again next Sunday? That way, people that are across the pond can be part of it because they're like 6-7 hours ahead of us.
So it's going to be the 9th of August next Sunday.
So, oh my gosh,
It's
so
the
it'd be
day after
August 9th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So anybody that wants to join, we're going to do a book club on Sacred Enzyme for the Irish wisdom reserved in the Bible and the Pyramids. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what time will that be in the UK? How?
Let me just
1 o'clock.
Let me just check.
It's 11 a.m. here. What time is it there now? I think you're 6 hours ahead.
9 will be 2 p.m. here.
Okay, so we should be able to fit everybody in. If we do 9 a.m. here regularly, then people that are across your way, they can be able to join. That way, that'll work good. I think 9 o'clock actually be perfect. Okay, it's good for you. Excellent. All right, so let's plan on meeting up at 9 a.m. on the 9th of August to do review the first beginning pages, the little small section in the front, and then chapter 1. And then we'll set a timer for an hour so we don't make them too long, right? We don't want our divergence getting off kilter.
We don't want to get dysregulated and burnt out.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a wonderful day.
Stacey, before you go, are we doing anything for Lionsgate? Do you want to just maybe think about that and make a wee short video inviting something for Lionsgate?
Yeah. I think, what's your thoughts on, Couture, what's your thoughts on a Lionsgate ceremony? Because we were talking about that, Karen and I were talking about the Lionsgate portal ceremony, that we really need to do something that is bringing heaven and earth together. Like we need to bring both aspects together and kind of like some type of way that we can honor both sides and have a balance. Yeah, for Lionsgate. Give some thought on it. Everybody put some thought into it. What would be good? I think that we should do like a mass meditation on Lionsgate portal. Yeah, and it like either 8:08 a.m. or 8:08 p.m. And then we could just do like a prayer, around the world and just magnify it out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So
and if people want to go outside, they can go wherever they want to do it in their own local area, like to the lake or a sacred site or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is I'll sit down and I'll try to write something out. If you guys want to put your comments in the video, and anybody that comes to catch the video later, ideas of how we can really pull out the stops for Lionsgate, because this is like the most important day. I mean, gosh, guys, this is like so important for us. Oh, awesome. She's gonna go to
Central
Central
Park,
Park.
awesome.
Woohoo!
Brilliant.
Awesome. I can go to Bach
Yeah.
Tower. I can go to Bach Tower. Newgrange. Can you go to Newgrange?
Oh, can I go to Tara? No, I don't think so, because I'm actually going down that way a couple of days later and I wouldn't be able to do the drive there and back. But I will pick somewhere really nice and good, special.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm so excited. All right, everyone. Much love to you all. Mwah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Stacey. Thank you, everybody.
Y'all have a
Bye.
wonderful
Love
day.
you all.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.